Hey guys, I want to talk about this topic. I don't think I've ever really talked about Trish Stratus directly. Maybe I have. I can't really remember. But I actually got into. It wasn't really a debate, really, but I mean, it's a thing that a lot of people, a lot of fans would probably argue. And maybe a lot more fans would probably argue against, but whatever. Basically, there was someone on one of the wrestling pages that I follow. They made a post saying that they think that Charlotte is a better wrestler than Trish Stratus was, and of course, people completely disagree. They think Trish Stratus is better, and he said that his friend, we're going back and forth. His friend thinks Trish Stratus is better, and then someone made the comment that Trish Stratus is better, and that Trish Stratus was the one who laid the groundwork for, the current female wrestlers of today, like Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, Becky, etc. Um, he said that, and I made an argument, which I'm about to explain here in a minute. I made an argument back to him, and he didn't really respond. He kind of he responded with that. He actually responded with an emoji. It was this. It was this. It was like I might have had a point or whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, and so he didn't really respond to that, and then I think someone else responded, but I don't know. But that got me thinking, and I thought I would just do a video on it so I can talk about this. Now, I understand why Trish Stratus and Lita, are the ones that are mentioned, the prime two female wrestlers that are brought up, from the Attitude Era and stuff like that. I understand. They were the most popular, they were the most over. They got the biggest reactions. I mean, so that's really where it's all at. People say that people bring up the title wins. That Trish Stratus is a seven-time women's champion. You know what? I really don't count that. I don't really see how that makes her. I don't see how that makes her great. One of the greats. I mean, I don't think titles mean much. I mean, you could have. I mean, WWE could bring back the Great Khali and he could win the world title like six times. It wouldn't mean that he's a good wrestler. It just means the WWE bookers and writers, booked him to win the world title six times because they wanted to. I don't think title wins prove anything, about a wrestler being good or not. So there's that. But this person said that Trish Stratus and Lita, but I want to talk mainly about Trish Stratus, laid the groundwork for the female wrestlers of right now, this current time. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Now, WWE will have you believe that Trish Stratus is, I believe they've even called her like the greatest female wrestler of all time, which I call bullshit. I mean, don't get me, Trish Stratus, she was good. She was good. But is she the best female wrestler? Like, in terms of wrestling skills, in-ring wrestling skills, is she the best in-ring female wrestler of all time? No. No. Not by a long shot. I could name 20 female wrestlers today that are much better than Trish Stratus ever was in the ring. So in that regard, I think Trish Stratus is way overrated. But, you could argue, and this is my argument, when Trish Stratus was in WWE, okay, she was in there for about 6 years. She retired in 2006 with that match with Lita, and not long after, I mean, pretty much right after, Lita retired as well, like a month or two later. So after that, and really it was starting before that too. Like it really started in 2004, 2005. We started getting the era of the very crappy era of female wrestling, the era of very, very extremely crappy era of female wrestling, because that is around the time when WWE decided that they weren't going to hire legitimate female wrestlers with real talent anymore. They were going to start hiring models to be wrestlers. Now, of course, there were a few exceptions to this. There were, Beth Phoenix, Mickie James, Natalya, women like that who were actually hired and who actually did have real wrestling talent because they'd wrestled in the indies. But you think about all the female wrestlers that were models before, that they signed, and, you know, you think of how badly it backfired. You know, examples: Kelly Kelly, Ashley Massaro, Maria Kanellis, back in the day. Who else? Michelle McCool, who, Michelle McCool turned out to be a decent wrestler, but I mean, we got fucking Laycool, which, goddamn. Um, and several others. Christy Hemme in that terrible match with Trish Stratus at WrestleMania 21, I believe. But yeah, just things like that. After Trish left, and before she left, but after she left, we got that era from like 2000. It started in 2005, but after Trish left, from about 2006 all the way up until about 2013-ish, mid 2013, because finally then the time started to change for the females in WWE. But for the longest time, for about 7 or 8 years, that was the time when we started getting, for the most part, pretty crappy female wrestling. Some of the wrong female wrestlers getting pushed and going over. Which, again, there were a few exceptions. There was Beth Phoenix, Mickie James, Melina, Natalia, and a few others that you could mention. They were the bright spots in that era. They were the bright spots in that division because they could actually wrestle. But for the most part, you had mostly models they were trying to turn into wrestlers and failing for the most part, to turn into wrestlers, and, a lot of the time, and sometimes they would have female wrestlers that were really good but would not get used right at all, and they would get, and they would push, some of these models in favor of these, and, over in favor of these other females that could actually wrestle. Like, example, Gail Kim. Gail Kim came back to WWE in 2008, mid 2008. And, I mean, we all know she got treated like shit. We all know she can wrestle circles around probably half the female wrestlers in WWE right now. And certainly back then. But they had her losing to freaking, they had her losing to women like Maurice and Kelly Kelly, of all people. And of course, we can't forget how every match, every female match would always be like a minute or 2 minutes. They'd go out there, they'd have like, a 1 or 2 minute match, and then it would be over. Which, I guess sometimes that would probably be for the better, because some of those female wrestlers, probably wouldn't have known what they were doing, or probably couldn't go for longer than about 5 minutes anyways, but still, we were only getting 1 minute, 2 minute matches, and the women's division was pretty bad. It was a waste of time. That's when it was considered the piss break. The Bella Twins. Those are two more that I forgot to mention. I mean, yeah, I know they've improved and they've gotten better, but I mean, back then when they were from like 2008, 2012, in the prime era of that crappy era. I mean, back when they really couldn't wrestle, when they were really seriously bad in the ring. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, you got a few of those models that turned out to be actually something good. You got like Michelle McCool, who was a decent wrestler. He couldn't talk on the mic at all, but I mean, decent wrestler. I don't always put a lot of stock in mic skills, by the way, but in Michelle McCool's case, yeah, she's not good on the microphone. You got Michelle McCool, you got Eve Torres, she turned out to be, pretty decent. You got, Alicia Fox, who I think is pretty decent, but I mean, you saw how that went with her career. But the thing is that after Trish Stratus was probably one of the most successful model turned wrestlers, because she wasn't a wrestler before she got to WWE. She was a model, or a fitness model, whatever. So they thought that they could get the same results with others as well. But they didn't, as we all saw, or at least with most of the wrestlers. We saw that no, Trish Stratus was something different. She was, an anomaly. She was one of the very few that actually turned out to be, a pretty decent wrestler in the ring. Transitioning from being a model to actually being a good wrestler, a pretty good wrestler. So they thought they could get the same results if they did the same thing, but they didn't. And as a result, we got that crappy era that we had for so long with the women's division. That's why people started tuning into TNA, because the TNA women's division was great. They were having matches that were longer than 2 minutes, and the women's division was actually taken seriously and featured prominently, and other places like Shimmer, which I'm a huge fan of today. But I think Trish Stratus laying the groundwork for the women of right now, as I said, Charlotte, Bayley, Paige, Becky, Sasha, Emma, etc. I don't think Trish laid the groundwork for them. I think she laid the groundwork for the crappy era that we got of the model era, of the diva era. Trish Stratus laid the groundwork for that. Okay? I think the people who laid the groundwork for this current era, AJ Lee, because she was, when that crappy era was still going, she was one of the females that actually got featured and was actually in a huge spot. She had good mic skills, decent matches. She made a change, and I'll never forget her pipe bomb, or I don't know, I guess I don't like calling it a pipe bomb, but yeah, that's what I call it, her promo on Total Divas. I think that right there is what really sparked the change. And then we had Paige and Emma, having great matches in NXT, and people starting to realize, wow, maybe women's wrestling isn't dead. Maybe it's not as bad as we think it is. Maybe it's not a piss break. Paige and Emma start having great matches in NXT. They have the NXT Women's Championship gets brought up. They have a great match for it. Again, they have several more good matches, They get called up, and then soon enough, before they get called up, you got people like Sasha coming in, Bayley coming in, Becky coming in, Charlotte coming in, and others. Paige and Emma get called up, and then soon enough, you got Bayley and Charlotte and Sasha, and Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky, filling those spots and still having great matches. Those four having great matches with each other. And then, and then others now with Asuka and Ember Moon and everything. So really, I think the real people who set the groundwork for this current era right now is AJ Lee and Paige and Emma when they started having those great matches in NXT. I don't think Trish Stratus laid the groundwork for right now. WWE will say that she did. They'll have you think that she did. And a lot of fans will say that she did. And that is their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion. If they think that's fine. This is just my opinion that I feel very strongly about, but this is my opinion. But no, I don't think Trish Stratus laid the groundwork for this current generation. I think that she laid the groundwork for, like I said, the very crappy diva era that we got of the model-turned wrestlers, failed model-turned wrestlers, most of them anyways. The 1 minute, 2 minute matches that we kept getting. Just the crappy botch fest-filled wrestling, which they still have botches today, but not nearly as much as back then. So yeah, I say the credit goes to AJ Lee and Paige and Emma when they start having those good matches at NXT. I don't think the credit should go to Trish Stratus and Lita. They were both very good. I'm not taking anything. They were both very good. But I think that, I don't think they laid the groundwork for this current era. And I think that they're pretty overrated, to be honest. But this video is getting too long, and I've got to end it. So those are just my opinions. Just my opinions, not facts. You can have your own opinion. That's fine. Let me know what you think in the comments. And, yeah, so that's it for this one. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.